Geoff Duncan had a front row seat as the Republican lieutenant governor back then. Since then, he switched parties and is now running for the top job, this time as a Democrat. He joins us now. All right, even your fellow Democrats would acknowledge that Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger and Governor Brian Kemp have a very good record, not just on election administration, but they have the scars to prove that they've been willing to stand up to President Trump on these issues. But we have not heard much, if any, pushback from them on this raid. Does that suggest to you that there's some merit to the investigation or something different is happening this time?
Well, I'm laser focused on trying to convince as many of the 11 million Georgians to vote for a common sense decision maker to be their next governor as a Democrat. That's my focus. And part of that is telling the truth and continuing to stand up for what was a fair and legal election in 2020. They've had nearly 6 years to prove that there was any sort of issues or facts or fraud. There isn't. This raid that's come into play this past week has nothing to do with the 2020 election. It has everything to do with casting doubts, sowing seeds of doubt for the 26 midterms. That's what this is 100% about. And we've got to be able to stand up and say out loud with as strong a voice as possible, not now, enough.
Okay, certainly we got some federal overreach issues going on in terms of election administration and who does what, where, and how. But I think Georgians of both parties, if they were being honest, would tell us that Fulton County has not exactly been a paragon of efficacy on a lot of things, including elections. I am old. I remember in 2012 when they blew it. They mishandled registrations, led to long lines and administrative ineptitude, had a bunch of voters casting ballots in the wrong legislative districts. Are you satisfied, first, that they fixed those problems? And is it fair to say that the county has, from time to time, left itself open to criticism?
I certainly think Georgia has put on display since 2020 the facts and details of the election cycles of that specific election. I mean, I think the integrity of that election has not been called into question by anybody other than the MAGA crowd and Donald Trump because he lost. And he's a sore loser. I think what we've seen play out is Georgia ran safe, legal elections. They've been audited, hand-counted, recounted, everything in between. And I think we continue to learn from election after election after election. What are the things that we can do to improve? What are technologies and systems and operations? I certainly think Fulton County and every one of the 159 counties have that as a mission profile. But when we inject partisan politics like the state election board into this, when we see court case after court case after court case get overturned for the sole purpose of carrying Donald Trump's MAGA juice into the election booth or into these election cycles, that's where this becomes a huge problem. I think that really speaks to the volumes in my campaign. We've gotten over 10,000 contributions from all 50 states because the rest of the country knows what I know. Donald Trump is trying to pick a fight in Georgia to put his fingers on the scales of this election coming up, and we can't let it happen. We've got to make sure folks are in place that are able to make honest umpire decisions.
Okay, Jon Ossoff has got to be, I'm sure he is unhappy. The senator is probably unhappy about the things that you say. But from a political standpoint, this has to be helpful for Georgia Democrats, right? That the idea that Jon Ossoff and Raphael Warnock probably wouldn't have won their runoffs in 2021 had it not been for the surge of the Stop the Steal movement and all of that jazz into Georgia back then. Does this, how do you see similar implications for Democrats in November this time?
Here's what I see helping Georgia Democrats. Every time Donald Trump opens his mouth, our party gets bigger and stronger. I certainly am seeing the effects of that. I'm watching every night our crowds getting bigger with Democrats, independents that are ready to pick a side, and this growing batch of disgusted Republicans. But I think even more importantly, for all the Democrats running for office and in elected office in Georgia, every time Donald Trump focuses on Greenland or Venezuela or tariffs or the awful ICE raids that are playing out in tragic format, he's not focusing on the issues that most Georgians wake up worried about, the affordability crisis, the healthcare crisis, and what is truly a Donald Trump crisis. He's not focusing on any of those, and I think that's what's creating this divide, this good versus evil battle that's showing up. And look, Georgians are getting to see firsthand. Burt Jones is most likely going to be the Republican nominee, and he is Donald Trump's sock puppet. And if he wins this race and is the next governor, he'll be the governor of record in 2028 when we go back through for another presidential election cycle. And just for a reminder, he was a fake elector. He has been pardoned, and the list goes on and on.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.